Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. Happy Wednesday morning here. It is Wednesday. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Rational. Way to go, YouTube. Condolences for YouTube victims. I am hearing some of our crypto people are getting still banned by YouTube, so be careful out there. Everybody, the problem here, and YouTube be aware of this, actually today I'm going to be talking swear words, and I don't really have any choice because that's actually the symbol is a swear word. So, but it's kind of funny. We'll get to that later on, but just wanted to give my condolences to any YouTube victims out there that are having their videos being blocked. Hang in there, crypto peeps. Anyway, let's get to work here today. Obviously, the message isn't going to change a heck of a lot for day to day from the free video here that we do. But just give you a nice overview of sort of what we're seeing in the market. So first things first, obviously, hegemony world. We've got to check out US dollar, gaps to the upside, gaps to the downside, basically to find our trading range. We worked our way down through the fall, came back down, tested into the bottom end of the range, ratcheted right back up into the midpoint of the range, which is 38.2s. Against trend lines, and now we're actually starting to see a bit of failure after we put in what is that, about 3 or 4 days of attempted rallies against 38.2s and just continually being rejected. After a while, the market's like, fine, you don't want to go up, I want to do business, so let's go back down. That should be sort of risk-on-y. People are not running into the US dollar freaking out, so that's generally a good sign for risk. And I do see the stock market generally is pretty uppy. If we head on over to risk on, risk off, the crude oil, I think, is going through its normal seasonal trade here. We do have a couple ideas. We had our TRI SOF meeting last night, Tuesday evenings we have it, so we had a whole bunch of new ideas to chew on. And a couple new oil names that we're going to be watching closely over the next month or so to see if there's any cute little entries we can grab in the energy pit. But you can see stocks are continuing to work their way up. January barometer kind of studies, I do like the idea of this stock market actually calming down a little bit. First day, we actually did see a fairly sizable pullback. First week, not as sizable and very strong sort of push into the end of the month. This is now, we're basically about 2 weeks into the new year, and you can see very, very strong market. But we are coming up to the 15th of the month, and usually what happens around the 15th of the month, think of that being sort of like May, June, sort of halfway through the year, we should see a bit of a pullback. And also too, we have a monster options expiry coming up on Friday. Huge call walls up there, just a little bit higher than where we are right now at 330. So my hunch is they do not want this market to go out by Friday above 330, and they're sort of parking it here for the next couple days. We'll see how it goes. Only time will tell. But the simple message that I gave in the daily brief today is: look at people, don't fight the stock market here. I think 2020 is going to be a very, very strong year for stocks. I also think, crypto, and this obviously goes back to the debate, is crypto a risk on? Is it a risk off? Did crypto fall out of bed here primarily because of ICE and Cool Kelly Loeffler and all the blatant manipulation around big exchange listings of these contracts? And now, interestingly enough, does Bitcoin have to play catch up to actually catch back up to the stock market? I don't know about that. One thing I was sort of cautioning people today is I really don't like the look of the Japanese yen here breaking the new lows. So it does make it very difficult for me to be bullish of gold. And of course, we've talked about gold seasonality. Could there be pushes up against these highs? Sure. I mean, ironically enough, if I actually wanted to short gold, I actually have to wait for some sort of counter trend rally back up into reload zones here. So I can't short gold here. But at the same time, too, seasonality window is kind of closing for gold. And that's what I was talking about Japanese yen. I mean, yeah, historically, I found yen and gold like to move together. So if yen is breaking to new lows here and having a really tough time, man, that makes it difficult for me to be bullish of gold. The only outlier to all this, and I think it's very similar to 38.2's, the battles here, is the bond market. It hasn't really broken out per se here yet, but you can see it's enjoying some uppy. If the stock market does have to go soft for the next few days into that options expiry, I could see them bid this up a bit. I do still have my puts on the books. I would prefer just to leave them on the books because the 50% level is still down here. And I don't really have any buy signal here on the bond market. I just think it's a little bit of dead cat bounce counter trend rally. But you never know. I mean, maybe the market works its way higher, but I'm short and I'm just going to sort of stay there and be short. So that's sort of your risk on, risk off kind of conversation here. I am thinking about being a buyer of crude, just not now and probably another 3 weeks or so. Stocks, January barometer, US dollars coming off, so still strong, looking uppy. Bonds, I said, I've talked about that, lower highs and lower lows, but we might W out here. That could definitely happen. Gold, I got nothing on gold right now. So, all right, heading on over to the stock market. Got handed just an absolute fabulous treat here today on this CETX. I think I told you about this one. What was really interesting about this was a double bottom, and they came down and tested this kilo 3 times and didn't break it. But wow, was that ever close? We were like, whew, sweating bullets. But kind of a fun conversation, and this is part of our education in the derivatives part of the market is trading warrants. And what was really interesting is this stock, you can see it had a nice double, earlier through the day. And, I was even sort of posting, sure like the look of, which one was it? Thought it was one of these. Maybe it's this. Yeah. Love waking up to this kind of market. Sure makes trading stock market a hell of a lot easier. I think I posted out like last week. I had 3 setups that I was trying to sneak into, and all 3 of them I missed. And I was like, oh, man. But this market, I'm in all of these. So, woohoo. And, of course, we got off a nice big fat winner here today. Woohoo, party. So, but what's really cool is in our TRI SOF club meeting, we're actually talking about the warrants. And look at this crazy ass trade. This damn warrant was like 0.006 cents yesterday. And now here it is trading at 2 cents. Who can do the math there on that? That's a hell of a percentage move. And that's the kind of stuff that we like to talk about in our derivatives plan. So here's a good example. You buy the stock, you double your money. You buy the warrants, it's like a 4x, right, in one day. So this is the kind of market, and I think I had sort of said this to you guys in the public recently. I honestly think that 2019 is going to be, or what year are we in? 2020, beg your pardon, is going to be this kind of market. So get yourself prepared, get ready, hunt these W's, and when they come in, own this stuff. Because, wow, what a market. Woohoo, party! Anyway, we're having some fun in the stock market, needless to say. As you saw, crypto stocks, we talked lots in the broadcast today about crypto stocks, pot stocks, pharma stocks. Things are popping. Woo, party! A bunch of ideas coming out of the TRI SOF meeting. Look at this crazy ass little pot stock. Beautiful little W's. Just, oh my goodness, this is one hell of a market. You can see we got a bunch of ideas. Man, pot stocks. I think I've told you guys about this before, but I love this little David's T down in here. I don't know whether you can consider these trades. Remember, this is what I'm doing with my money. I'm long this thing. I'm not telling you, I'm not recommending, I'm just sort of demonstrating what I do with my money here in the market. So, but I'm very interested in Mr. David's T. But back to our story here. Enough of stocks, let's get on to crypto. Crypto stocks looking uppy, but primarily I wanted to just talk to you guys about crypto. In this segment, we have been sort of walking you through this little W trade that's set up on Bitcoin here recently. Obviously, this is a pretty aggressive price target, shooting up for reload zones. I think this was just simply, look at, if we do buy this W, we want to make sure that we get paid for the risk that we're going to take. I like to use things like 50% rules as target objectives, and even interestingly enough, if we did a 50% retracement of that entire range, that still produces a 2.39 risk reward. So I mean, traders got to trade. I mean, it's sitting there. We spent a lot of time in today's daily brief talking about how we've got Mountain Man, original market structure levels coming in here in the short term. Huge MUOCs. We got big fat round number, $10,000 staring us in the face up top here. I don't see any reason why this can't hit these objectives. As well, you see that we've got higher highs on RSI. Cute little W's in OBV and RSI together, which is sort of that Davo kind of signal that we used to tout. I made reference to Da Vinci earlier. Good luck with your YouTube woes, sir. We have bullish divergences in things like MACD, and they've pushed to new highs here, so there's no bear divergence. You can see off of this daily chart the volume impetus, higher volume bar here, so that's looking relatively positive. I don't see anything standing in the way of this market right now. Through the daily brief, of course, we break down all the different time frames and all the different approaches you could take to trade this. What I simply said was, in the daily brief, to sort of summarize, I'm actually thinking, like off a daily chart, this is the MEX contract. I'm actually thinking we're probably going to do something along these lines. So this is like a market symmetry study, and you can see just even now we're following that symmetry study fairly closely here. So that's, again, reload zones, Mountain Man's, 200 SMA on the daily and the weekly chart. I definitely like a nice move up into these levels up top here. And what I was just suggesting to the site people is now we're getting awfully close to levels that if you did take this trade, try not to let a winning trade turn into a losing trade. At the very least, maybe move your stop to scratch, especially right after this Wyckovian check. I would even have your stop just sitting underneath that low and just let this thing work. But don't let a winning trade turn into a losing trade. That's usually bad psychologically. So off the higher time frames, everything's just working away, but we are starting to come up into some serious resistance here. So be aware of that. So no divergences, nothing really to get too worried about here off of sort of, higher time frames. But when we start looking down a little bit lower time frames, warning signs are starting to flash. Willie off of the 4 hours now did actually officially go stupid there a little bit ago. So, we're way too late to be buyers. I don't see any divergence here on MACD just yet. Don't see any divergence here on OBV just yet. Now we're down to 4 hour. You can see the volume, the buying pressure is coming off here a little bit though. So we might see a little bit of a pause. So no divs, i.e. get ready to short. There is that reload zone up top, marginal market structure, blah, blah, blah. Top of value, 200% exchange extension, Mountain Man. I mean, it shouldn't surprise us if we do see resistance coming up here, but I don't see any signs of failure yet. Where we do see signs of failure, and this is what I was just sort of cautioning people in the daily brief, is the hourlies are starting to look a little heavy. You can see the divs coming in up top here. So, off the lower time frames, this was the bot setup. We sort of talked about a little bit difficult to trade, and we reviewed sort of how does a trader attack that. We had a nice little volatility compression through this little W here. So if there was a trade, I really like the entry here. But like I said to you, I don't really like, I've said in the public, I don't really like drilling down to these lower time frames for you guys in the public because the picture changes just so quickly. But anyway, point of the matter here is off the lower time frames, we've hit things like move stop to trailing levels. If we get any signs of failure here, I think this long trade for the trade setup is done. And as I had sort of said, we're actually got signs of divergence coming in here. So don't be surprised if we have to take a bit of a pause, but keep in mind that ABCD objective is still floating out there up at about 92, 9300 here over on max. So could we see a nice little consolidation, maybe a pullback and then a pop up top to finally validate that? Totally fine by me. And if you wanted to try and hunt setups, I could imagine there's probably a new little bot that's going to set up through here. So if you get one low, two lows, third low, all those lower time frame players, maybe hunt bot longs to play that last move. And I just said I didn't want to talk about lower time frames, and I'm talking about lower time frames. So what the fuck? Anyway, things are looking pretty good. Nothing to complain about. Understand though, mountain man levels, lower time frames, things are starting to look a little bit heavy up here, so be careful. Really not a good idea to go buy new Bitcoins here. What I found really fascinating today, and it was we had a long conversation through the daily brief about this study, something brewing. Remember we talked, and I put this out recently. What do seasonal bottoming and troughing sort of action in this Bitcoin versus the rest of the market cap market look like? Seeing a lot of similarities here to last seasonal bottom. That seems to be continuing on. I heard people talking in the daily or in the TRI lounge about 200 SMAs being lost now on market dominance and stuff like that. And we look at things like Ethereum; they're really popping up versus Bitcoin. So. On top of this conversation, I thought it was fascinating when we talked in the daily brief about this conversation. My stars, are those W's that are trying to come in here? Son of a mother, run! And what I find hilarious, and I had a really fun chuckle about this earlier, was I would, on top of the fact that we're trading the Ethereum, and I think this is a nice simple trade. It's not rocket science. Options, which make it really low risk and really low anxiety. Just, I'm in the trade, just stay in the trade. And I even put a tweet out, look, the money's working. Now my job is don't screw with the trade. So I'm just going to let this work. But what was really cool was now things like the shit index, shit perp index, are starting to perk up, and hopefully everybody can see the W's here. This isn't rocket science, people. It's just rinse and repeat the same damn thing over and over. And I thought, just to finish the video off today, I thought this was hilarious. You can now actually trade bullshit. Which is the 3x long of this instrument. Look at that little pretty thing. Or if you're really aggressive, you could trade moon shit, which is 10x long this thing. I guess that thing hasn't moved yet. I don't know. But I thought that was just hilarious. So we can officially say the shit has W'd out. And you even get your choice of how much leverage you want to use on these things. You can go, I'm just a regular shit trader, shitcoin trader. I'm a bullshit trader, or I'm a moon shit trader. Have fun with this, folks. Welcome to the millennials market and the 21st century. All right, so there's your presentation today. I thought this was absolutely adorable. A great testament to the community, and total irreverence to the higher ups in the world. And now we have to get CNBC to actually say shitcoin, moon shit, bullshit, and shit perp on a daily basis. That should be funny. All right, everybody, I'm going to leave it at that. Hope I gave you something to think about here today. All the best. Have yourselves an awesome rest of your day. And the only thing left for good old Brian to say at this point is a big bye for now.